Hey, what up, what up, what up? And welcome to the 2020 Golden Cup Playoff Breakdown. Your boy, 2B's, 2C's, Cream Cheese, is here to discuss the fantasy playoffs as they are now in full swing with the semifinals kicking off tonight. I hope all is well with you and yours, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown. The opening round saw Lawyer Up stumble versus J-Mac, and D's Nuts dropped 150 but still lost to Don Meyer Ford. Now we're down to 4 teams, including the 2018 champ and the 2017 champs, who ironically face off starting tonight in the semis. That would be none other than Hookers and Blow versus Don Meyer Ford. Clash of the Titans here is the team with the top record faces the team with the highest points per game. And the number 1 scoring QB versus the number 2 scoring QB. My fantasy league rates it as a Hookers and Blow 4-point favorite. While Don Meyer Ford assumed that McCaffrey would help lead the way, his top backs are actually James Robinson and Mike Davis. Crazy. But sneaky ads that are both currently inside the top 7 at the running back position. His wide receivers, Tyreek, DK Metcalf, are number 1 and 3 in the respective positions for scoring at wide receiver. Ultimately, Don Meyer got an all-time roster here, and they didn't even have McCaffrey really active most of the year. Add in that 4 of the 5 losses would be wins if he had the most optimal lineup submitted. Really kind of jaw-dropping. Tip of the cap, sir. Hookers and Blow, hey, they're no pushover either. 10-3 with 150 points per game is one hell of a season, led by the pack attack of 8 Aarons, Aaron Jones, and Aaron Rodgers. These guys capable of blowouts each week. The running back, too, has seen Melvin Gordon kind of take over where Malcolm Brown was kind of dabbling in there. And Gordon's getting hot right at the right time. His wide receivers have been led by DeAndre Hopkins, as we kind of thought he would. But Lockett kind of exploded and then has kind of declined. But now we're seeing Allen Robinson step in and completely blow up, really carrying on solid scoring throughout that wide receiver group for him. Adding Kelsey, who drops 25 every week, and these guys are ready to make a run. They got kind of that next man up mentality combined with having a hot hand to play. It's just been key for Hookers and Blow all year long. When looking at these 2 games, I think the matchups, the key NFL games are going to be the Packers-Carolina game on Saturday, and then the Chiefs and Saints on Sunday. The Packers take the field as heavy favorites. I'm expecting H&B to have at least 3 touchdowns, but it could be as many as 5 if Aaron Jones happens to get a receiving touchdown. On the other side, if they do get out to a lead, it's going to limit Mike Davis' opportunities. If it's one of those 12 carries for 43 yards kind of days, that's nothing. But he can pop one, and we all know he can get in the end zone. So if the Panthers can keep it close, look for Mike Davis to get some scoring, and a touchdown would be absolutely huge for DMF to kind of keep this thing in close. But ultimately, the translation here, I think, is heading into Sunday, Hookers and Blow is going to be feeling pretty good. I think they're going to have a lead, and I think they're going to like their odds, but know that anything can happen. The early slate on Sunday, it's active quick. 6 players starting off for DMF, only 3 for Hookers and Blow. So then you're watching that Seahawks game. All right, is Wilson going to throw it to DK, or is he going to throw it to Lockett? I mean, points are being determined either way here. TJ Hawkinson's been hot the last 3 weeks. He's going to stay hot. His team is kind of, I don't know. The later games in the week all favor Don Meyer Ford, so, it's imperative that Hookers and Blow win the little matchups, like, defense and special teams. Can't get beat by 10 or 5 even in those kind of positions. But ultimately, I think he's going to need really strong efforts from Allen Robinson and Tyler Lockett. Allen Robinson, most would say, yeah, he's going to go off again. He's going to do his thing. Lockett, I'm not so sure. He's been hit or miss, kind of been playing favorites as the Seahawks offense has kind of struggled at times towards the end of this season. But these 2 are ultimately going to determine this game. If they each go for 10 or 12, not so hot, but they could go for 25 or 35. So if something like that happens, then this is going to get really interesting heading into the later slate. Because the late slate, DMF has Mahomes, Hill, and Lil Wayne Gallman. Hookers and Blows got Melvin Gordon, okay, Fat Randy Bullock, and Travis Kelce, who now is reliant on his opponent's quarterback. So that's going to really limit Kelce's upside to kind of run away with this, because every 6 points he gets, 6 points for Mahomes on the other side. Conversely, you got to think if he's going to pull off that, it's going to have to be one of those PPR type games where Kelce just gets 10, 11, 12, 13 catches on top of, 100 plus yards. that could really help him try and make more of a difference there. But if his lead is less than 50, that's going to be problematic. I think DMF will trail until that Sunday 4 o'clock slate when we see Mahomes and the Chiefs take the field. At that point, I kind of expect DMF to take the lead by halftime, and I don't see him looking back. I think it'll be a good game and a fun to watch scoring-wise, a good battle starting Saturday and kind of going into Sunday. But once the evening games, I really expect the Chiefs to pull away, and I've got a Don Meyer Ford victory here. I'm going 180 to 167. All right, so there you go. Now, after the clash of the Titans, let's take a look at the other side of the tracks. That would be J-Mac versus Warriors out west. These two teams' paths were a little different than the other two. Warriors were just 2-4 before crushing it with 239 points in Week 7. Warriors won every game since, riding a 7-game heater. J-Mac started 2-3 and is the only playoff team that made substantial changes to their roster. Mid-season trade acquiring Michael Thomas and Darren Waller led to a late season push and them taking the final playoff spot. Last week they defeated Lawyer Up, who at one point was 7-1 in total control and the first announced playoff clincher. Shortly after that announcement, tailed off at season's end. Between these two, my fantasy league sees the Warriors out west as current 21-point favorites. J-Mac, he's going to be looking to establish an early lead, and he's got big-time names that can get it done. His two Allens, Keenan Allen and Josh Allen, are both playing early, and Darren Waller is playing on Thursday as well. All three of those guys are going to have their games completed with, Warriors lone stud, T-Bass, my kicker, kicking for Buffalo. So when you talk about, three big-time studs on J-Mac's side and, a kicker early on for the Warriors, after heading into the Saturday evening slate, J-Mac should have a lead. He's going to need a big lead. I think he's going to at least have a 60-point lead, and that's something that he's going to need if he's going to really carry through Sunday because Warriors got a pretty strong roster this week. Saturday night will give us a clue. Devontae Adams takes the field. He's been red hot. He's got about a 15-point floor, which is really nice, but a 45-point ceiling, which is even nicer. I think he'll finish somewhere in between, probably about 25. He's got a record going of streaks, consecutive games with a touchdown. I expect that to continue. I think the Packers get out to an early lead, and I think that he's going to be feasting out there. But at least 25. By the time the 1 p.m. slate kicks around on Sunday, not a ton of action. We got the Warriors receivers against J-Mac's running backs. Warriors going young, starting Brandon Ayuk. The Rook gets his first start. He's got 18 points per game since Week 7, and he's in a plus matchup against Dallas. I like it. Let's go. A.J. Brown also having a plus matchup against Detroit, and he's scored 20 plus 2 of the last 3 weeks. Just some really emerging receivers for the Warriors that are kind of tough to deal with right about now. So on the other side, Jonathan Taylor, old JT, put down the tennis racket, picked up the football. He's heating up at the right time, and he had 30 last week. I believe it was 20 the week before. So really, really strong numbers from JT. J-Mac's other starter, Shady McCoy, is in a good plus match. Shady McCoy. I can't write. Sorry, one moment. Okay, so I guess it's Shady McCoy or Ito Smith starting for J-Mac here in the semis. Let's just go ahead and skip on past that one. I don't know about that. The running backs for the Warriors, on the other hand, Cam Akers and Alvin Kamara, both drafted by the Warriors, but have been hit or miss lately. They've been having, I would say, of a low floor opportunity, but really high ceiling. Most would see them as good plays this week. I think Cam is in line for another big game. Kamara's kind of been hit or miss really ever since Taysom Hill's been inserted into that starting lineup. So who knows what's going to happen there. But ultimately, I think the Warriors are going to have a good day, a high-scoring day. On the weekend, I look for the Warriors to have 175 points by 8 o'clock on Sunday evening. That leaves the J-Mac. He's got a puncher's chance now. The Browns defense and then Chase Claypool, but I think he's going to be trailing by more than 60 points. I don't think he makes up that much. I'm going to take the Warriors here. I'm going 177 to J-Mac's 142. I got the Warriors versus DMF in the fantasy championship. Hey, we got another breakdown coming for next week, so we'll see what happens. Until then, keeping the hair long, keeping the goater strong, and keeping you informed. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.